Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to change the way the world eats. Guys, my name is Shurina. I'm a certified nutritionist, health, nutrition, brain performance coach, and just someone who loves helping people to learn how to use nutrition as a precise tool to feel, look, and do our absolute best. Happy Tuesday, everyone! Today is such a beautiful date, guys. Today is the second day of the week. Today is 22nd of the second month of the year, that is 2022. So when I see a lot of twos, meaning number two, in any date or any page, any number, it's always a great reminder for me personally that there is this plate or weights or scales in our life. There are two choices every single day in every single situation. Bear with me a little bit while I'm trying to build up this concept. There is always a binary choice. What you choose to feed, to increase, to grow in your life. In any situation, whenever something comes up, you have a choice to give it a meaning that is positive or negative. You have a choice to move it into a positive direction or negative direction, right? It doesn't matter what situation is. You can always make something better or you can always make something worse. And the choice is yours. So beautiful date like that, a lot of twos, again, made me think about that. It's always a choice, no matter where you find yourself in your life, no matter how good or bad the situation is, you can always choose to make it better. Even if it's super good, you can still make it even better and shoot for the moon. So think about it today on this beautiful day with a lot of twos. Besides that, guys, today we're talking all about fats, and I'm not going to be telling you what fats not to eat. Well, actually, maybe a little bit. But what I find in my practice, when I worked with a lot of weight loss clients, and especially now when I'm working with my brain performance clients, individual and corporate, I find it that people really do not eat a lot of good fats. When I talk to people and I'm telling them, eating fatty fish, especially if you're not allergic, if you love fish, eating fish every day, like maybe a can of sardines or canned herring or maybe pickled herring. People love that. A lot of people I work with for some reason love it. Eating a lot of fatty fish as often as possible, it's really good practice. Not once or twice a week. It's actually not enough, especially if you already experience some health problems. And I'm going to name those health problems that you might be experiencing on a brain and body level when you don't eat enough good fats. You see, it's all about the balance in our body. Do you eat more of the fats that your body actually needs, your body and your brain, or the fats that compromise the function on a cellular level? Fats are very important in our body. Fats are needed, especially essential fats. They're needed to create, for example, cellular membranes. They're needed to create the structure of neurons and support those neurons. 60% of our brain is fat. Fat is needed to make a lot of hormones. And so when we start eating a lot of fats that are not appropriate for human physiology, what happens is we start experiencing problems in almost every area of our health because everything depends on our cellular membrane function. Like every single cell has a membrane, and depending on how flexible and fluid it is because of the fats we choose to eat, it either can perform its function really well, letting certain nutrients in, putting certain nutrients out, communicating with other cells. Especially it's important for neurons, guys, because the function of the neuron depends on really good communication between each other, that great signaling, release of neurotransmitters. And all of that depends on the quality of fats in our diet. And so when now this gets compromised, our cellular communication, our nerve communication, when our hormones are not made in a way they are supposed to be made in the best way possible to optimize our health because of the unnatural fats that we consume in our diet, fats that don't come from whole foods, from natural foods, but instead made in a factory, going through a lot of refining processes, making them just unnatural for the body to deal with. All of that stuff that breaks down almost every single process in our body. That's why you might be experiencing hormonal problems. You might be experiencing weight loss problems just because your cellular metabolism is not optimized because of all those fats that are not supposed to be in our body. I'm specifically talking about industrially processed and refined fats, things like canola oil, grapeseed oil, but any kind of the industrial fat that went through a lot of process of there are a lot of chemical processes, for example, to get oil from cottonseed and make it into a canola oil, or soybean oil. You can't just squeeze soybean and get oil. It has to go through high temperature processing. It has to go through a lot of refinement processes so it doesn't have certain aroma that are not that pleasant, so it has nice neutral taste. All this stuff, it has to go through a lot of industrial procession. Compare that to things like olive oil. Basically, you squeeze olive oil and you already can get some fat even in the house. If you make some nut butter, you can use simple food processor. Nuts are all oil and fat, and you don't need to do a lot of chemical procession or some industrial procession to make nut butter or squeeze oil out of that. But then if you use that oil, if you use some temperature on it, you use high temperature cooking, those oils get oxidized, the molecular structure changes, and so those oils are not that great for our cells. And again, you can experience problems with your hormones. You can experience problems with your skin more often than not. Guys, when I cleaned up my diet from those industrial fats and oils, I stopped having any skin problems. When I have my period, there's something, that can pop up, but it's like one thing and it disappears after my period is gone. And that's just because of hormonal fluctuation that naturally happens for women, right? But a lot of severe skin problems has to do with the quality of fat, the quality of your diet in general, but quality of fat specifically. Then you can get different kinds of pains, more especially chronic pains. You can get dandruff. Your neurotransmitters release. I talk a lot about dopamine, serotonin, GABA, acetylcholine, all these neurotransmitters to help us feel focused, to help us to pay attention and to learn and to have great memory and to have confidence and to have a lot of energy. All these neurotransmitters to be made, we need to be consuming certain kinds of fats of certain quality for our neurons to have this structure that they need to have. And so the cell membranes are fluid and flexible, so neurons can easily release those neurotransmitters like dopamine. So neurons can easily transmit signals between each other, right? None of it is going to be happening. Like yesterday we talked about blood sugar. Nothing is going to be optimized unless your blood sugar, until your blood sugar is optimized. The same with fats, the more weird fats in things like restaurant meals, takeout, all these different snacks and products, or meals you can buy in a supermarket more often than not would have those fats. The more of that you eat in all of these products, the more and more your health gonna start to break down. And the worst thing about those fats, especially fats with a lot of industrially made omega-3s and omega-6s, the worst part of that is once they are in your cell membranes, depending on the kind of cell, it might take quite a while to get them out. Until the cell dies and get metabolized out of your system, it might take quite a while. That it's not just something that passes through your system. Your body will encapsulate that in your cell membranes, in certain organs, in your nerve structure, and that's going to stick for a while there. And to eliminate the negative effect of that, you'll have to clean up your diet for like sometimes several years in order for you to actually start feeling your best. You will start feeling your best, right? Your better, not your best, right when you start consuming healthier fats compared to industrial fats. But it might take a while for your body to fully recover its function. It probably took me like several years for when I started to feel that my metabolism finally works the way it's supposed to work. My hormones are finally where they're supposed to be. It took literally several years after I completely eliminated those fats. So as you guessed already, I'm talking about those things that are called vegetable oils. And again, the difference between them and fats like avocados or olive oil, raw nuts and seeds, or fatty fish, the difference is how they are made and what processes they go through to get on your plate and into your mouth. A lot of temperature, different processes to refine them, usually involving a lot of chemicals. So the molecular structure of that fat is completely destroyed, changed, and altered. That's the difference. But then when it comes to natural fats that come again in fatty fish, in eggs, in dairy products, in avocados, in raw nuts and seeds, when it comes to those fats, there is also a difference. You can't just eat one type of fat. Let's say you decide to eat a lot of red meat, but not so many, avocados, nuts and seeds and fatty fish, or you decide to eat red meat and dairy and eggs, but again, not so many of other fats. We need balance. And most beneficial for health fats, it seems to be, from the data that we have from the longest living people, the most beneficial fats come from things like olives, avocados, raw nuts and seeds. Why raw? Because roasting them also changes the structure of the fat. Again, temperature changes the structure of any fat. In foods, they are a little bit less sensitive to that because they're protected by cellular structure. That fat is encapsulated in that. But even then, I would not use high temperatures or on any nuts, seeds, or fish. So you want to strike for the balance, right? I'm not saying eliminate completely red meat or dairy products with more saturated fats and different kinds of fats that are not essential, meaning your body seems to be doing pretty well without them. They are not as crucial for nerve cells, for brain health, for our hormones, for our cell membranes, but they do seem to also play some role. So I would incorporate some saturated fats from natural foods, right? But I specifically would focus on monounsaturated fats that are also not essential, but they seem to be very protective of health. Again, longest living people seems to be eating a lot of those, coming from things like olives or avocados or nuts and seeds. If you go for saturated fat, plant-based saturated fat seem to be working better for people's long-term health. But that's just observational data. I'm not saying they're like bad, especially in moderation, no. But I am saying that you need to be focusing more if you're interested in maximizing your health and longevity and productivity and the health of your brain and your hormones. You need to be focusing more on monounsaturated fats, again, fats that are especially a lot of them found in things like avocados, olives. We have macadamia nuts that are actually very rich in them. A lot of raw nuts and seeds would have monounsaturated fats. And then, of course, you want to focus on omega-3 fatty acids found in marine sources, things like fatty fish And then if you are vegan or vegetarian or you don't like fish, you need to be supplementing with algae oil. It's almost impossible to eat enough seaweed to get all these omega-3 fatty acids, right? So you need to be supplementing with that. If you eat fish, I recommend to eat it daily, like seriously. The more I read about omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish like salmon, like sardines, like herring, like mackerel, the more I read about them, it seems like the more you eat, the better you are, especially, DHA fats that are only in its pure form found in fatty fish, in marine sources. That fat is especially important for brain health. 97% of all omega-3s in our brain is actually that fat, DHA fat. And what neuroscientists and scientists who study brain health, who help people to restore brain health, they say that if you specifically want to work on your brain health, on your short and long-term memory, if your brain health already is suffering, maybe you're having senior moments when you can't remember things, maybe you lose direction often and you seem to be not good with spatial orientation, maybe it's hard for you to learn, to pay attention, maybe, signs of early dementia or Alzheimer's. So if you are already suffering with all of that, consuming oil that is much richer in DHA, omega-3 fatty acid. And by the way, if you get omega-3 supplement, you can see the amount of EPA and DHA. Those are two kinds of marine fatty acids that are especially important for our health. They are essential, right? So if you want to focus on brain health, you want to look at the amount of DHA, and ideally you should have in the supplement that is focused on your brain health, DHA like to EPA 10-1 or even 20-1. Like the more DHA, the better it is for your health. I would even recommend to look specifically in DHA supplements, good quality of them, if you're working on your brain health or you just want to optimize its function. When I get back from Mexico to Western world, to get back to Western civilization, I'm going to be looking specifically for DHA, omega-3 fatty acid supplement, because that seems to be the biggest win for your neurons. Again, 97% of omega-3s in our brain is DHA fat. The more, it seems to be the better. So DHA, that's what you want to focus on. If you seem to be having overall problems with inflammation, too much pain in your body, hormonal problems, skin problems, dandruff, if you seem to be having like overall health problems and you think that, fatty acids might be an issue, you haven't been really eating that fatty fish all that much for most of your life, then look for supplements where EPA and DHA, the proportion is kind of equal 1-1. But also, the more, the better. It is again recommended, especially if you're already suffering with symptoms, it is recommended to get 3-4 grams of EPA plus DHA combined. Most of the omega-3 fatty acid supplement, most of the fish oil do not have that. So look for the amount. If you need advice on your omega-3 fats, please reach out. I'm gonna give you my best advice on that. But just remember that most fish supplements, usually the cheaper they are, the less omega-3 fatty acids you're gonna have. And if you want to use them in therapeutic purposes, or maybe you want to use them also for mental health, you want to look for bigger amount of EPA and DHA. You also gotta be careful, a little bit more careful, if you take any medications. With whatever you hear, guys, on this podcast, if you take some medications, please consult with your healthcare provider, because of a lot of medications interfere with the function of a lot of supplements, substances, and in general with your health and your metabolism, right? So, if you are taking something that thins your blood, maybe you have cholesterol problems, then taking a lot of EPA and DHA might have a slightly negative effect on your blood thinness, because omega-3 fatty acids seem to make blood more liquid. That is, for cholesterol might be a good idea, but if you are already taking medications for that, that might not be a great, idea to combine them. You just need to try, see what happens, and also, again, consult with your primary healthcare provider. So omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA 1-to-1 proportion for general health, reduce inflammation, improve hormonal health, skin health, things like dandruff. If you have a lot of pains for some reason and just feel like maybe you already measured your inflammation levels, right? So that's the kind of supplement that you want to take. Again, 3-4 grams of those combined. If you specifically want to focus on your brain health and performance, DHA is your fat. Either just DHA or 10-to-1 DHA to EPA or 20-to-1. That's the kind of fish oil you want to get, and probably it's going to be more expensive, guys. With fish oil, price really makes a difference. And then on top of that, I highly recommend you to consume as much as possible of raw olives, avocados, raw nuts and seeds, especially things like walnuts with bigger proportion of essential fatty acids, omega-3s, omega-6s in plant version that are also highly beneficial for our health. And then on the side of red meat, of dairy products, I recommend to just eat sometimes. Don't go crazy on eating all of the red meat and dairy, as some people recommend. Balance in nutrition, balance of things, variety of things is generally a really great idea. Sticking with one food group doesn't really work for human body. Our nutritional needs are too complex, too varied. We have so many nutrients that we need to make our body thrive. Then sticking with just one food group, eliminating a bunch of foods along with a lot of nutrients, doesn't seem to be a great idea from all the data we have. And if there is, some doctor or some influencer who advises to stick with just, meat and fruit and calling the rest poison, well, there is no long-term data confirming that whatever they say actually works. But we do have long-term data on longest living populations of people who seem to be consuming overall a lot of whole foods, a lot of plants, variety of animal-based foods, especially things like fish and eggs, not so much red meat. Again, a lot of fish usually. So they consume a lot of plants. They consume nuts. In some parts they consume things like olives. More often than not, longest living populations consume some kind of beans almost on a daily basis. I'm having a kick from edamame lately that I'm going to be eating today. I can just eat a whole bunch of it. I don't know what it is, but I just love edamame. Edamame are green soybeans. I just get them frozen. That's how I can get them in Mexico. And then I unfreeze them. And then I boil them for like a couple of minutes just to kill possible bacteria, because once I ate them and my stomach got upset. So after that I do that and it doesn't happen. Might be not the case in your part of the world, right? So some sort of beans, and in general, again, variety. Don't eliminate food groups unless you have to because you're sensitive or allergic, guys. Variety of foods brings a variety of nutrients, and that variety of nutrients brings more diverse gut microbiome and more resilient health. As simple as that. And it seems like the more fatty fish you eat, the better you are. So fatty fish, raw nuts, seeds, avocados, olives, and you're going to be in a great shape when it comes to your fats. And when it comes to those industrial fats, guys, the less takeout you eat, the less restaurant meals you eat, snacks, processed foods where all these fats and oils are, the better you're going to be. Now, science is not exactly there. I'm not saying they're going to kill you and they're poison, but I am saying that the healthiest, fittest people who seem to have no problems with their health or fitness seem to be not eating a lot of those fats. And people like, Arnold Schwarzenegger and old school, health professionals, not so much health professionals, but health and fitness enthusiasm who kind of like represent, this vitality and health. The thing about them, they lived in a world where those industrial fats did not exist really. And maybe that's why their health is so robust still. And now when we introduce these fats into everyday supply and people start eating more and more of them, and like the volume of usage of them in restaurant industry and packaged snacks and foods, it's just mind blowing, people start suffering from health problems more and more, might be part of the reason. Just my thoughts about that. And anyhow, guys, I've been rambling long enough about fats. What you want to remember from today's episode is eat a lot of fatty fish as often as possible. I personally, eat sardines or salmon every single day. Eat a lot of, and again, supplement. If you don't want to be eating that, if you're a vegan, vegetarian, supplement with algae oil, go for 1-to-1 proportion of EPA and DHA for general health, 3-4 grams per day. Go for DHA specifically if you're working on your optimization of your brain health and brain function, again, especially if you're already suffering with things. Eat a lot of avocados, raw nuts and seeds, olives, eat variety of fats from whole foods, some red meat, maybe organ meat, some eggs, some dairy products, maybe, some cheese, natural cheese. All of that is good, but specifically focus on fatty fish, specifically focus on raw nuts, seeds, avocados, olives, and eat a lot of them. That seems to be a really great recommendation for healthy body, healthy hormones, skin, and no pain. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening to this fatty episodes. Eat your fats and eat a lot of other nutrients also. And if you have any questions, reach out, share this episode with people who might be eating a lot of takeout and started to have some brain problems and a lot of senior moments. Share, ask questions, and till next time, eat better daily.